Traveling the globe has always been about discovering new cultures, forging connections, and exploring the unknown. However, international travel isn't just about packing your bags. It's also about understanding the geopolitical and cultural dynamics of the world. While Americans can freely visit a majority of countries, there are some where they are not welcomed with open arms. In this video, we'll take an in-depth look at the 10 countries where Americans are not welcome in 2025. These nations have complex reasons, ranging from historical conflicts to ongoing political tensions that make them hostile or inaccessible for US citizens. Stick around to learn why these destinations are considered off-limits and what it means for global travel. Number 10. North Korea. North Korea has consistently topped the list of countries that are off-limits to Americans. In 2017, the US government banned its citizens from traveling to this secretive nation due to safety concerns. The move came after a series of high-profile incidents, including the tragic case of Otto Warmbier, an American student who was detained and later died after being released. Even before the ban, travel to North Korea was strictly controlled. Visitors had to join guided tours and follow rigid rules, such as refraining from criticizing the government or taking unauthorized photos. Violating these laws could lead to severe consequences, including imprisonment. Today, the ban remains in place, and with US-North Korea relations still strained, this country is one of the least accessible places for Americans. Number 9. Iran. Iran's complex relationship with the United States has made it a challenging destination for American travelers. While Americans can technically apply for a visa, the process is highly restrictive. Visitors must join guided tours and are constantly monitored throughout their stay. Tensions between the two nations have escalated over the years, fueled by political sanctions, accusations of espionage, and regional power struggles. For many Iranians, US foreign policies in the Middle East are a source of resentment, leading to widespread skepticism toward American visitors. Despite Iran's rich history, stunning architecture, and welcoming locals, the political climate creates significant barriers, discouraging most Americans from venturing there in 2025. Number 8. Venezuela. Venezuela's political and economic turmoil has created a volatile environment, making it a high-risk destination for US citizens. The country's government frequently accuses the United States of meddling in its affairs, leading to heightened anti-American sentiment. For American travelers, the risks go beyond politics. Venezuela suffers from rampant crime, including kidnappings and armed robberies. Many areas lack basic infrastructure, and tourists are often targeted for their perceived wealth. Additionally, the US State Department has repeatedly issued travel warnings for Venezuela, citing the breakdown of law and order. Until stability is restored, this once vibrant country remains a difficult and dangerous destination for Americans. Number 7. Syria. Syria is a country deeply scarred by a decade-long civil war. The conflict has left much of the nation in ruins, with millions displaced and thousands of lives lost. For Americans, Syria is not just unsafe, but also hostile. The US has been involved in Syria's conflict through military interventions, which has fueled anti-American sentiment among some factions. Furthermore, the lack of US diplomatic presence in the country means there's little assistance available for citizens in distress. While Syria's ancient history and cultural significance are undeniable, the ongoing conflict and hostility toward Americans make it one of the least welcoming destinations in 2025. Number 6. Russia. The relationship between the United States and Russia has been increasingly strained, and this is reflected in how Americans are treated when visiting. Visa applications for US citizens have become more difficult, and those who do visit are often subjected to heightened scrutiny. The political climate in Russia has fostered a growing sense of nationalism, with some officials and citizens viewing Americans as adversaries. Combined with concerns about surveillance and safety, traveling to Russia has become more complicated and less appealing for Americans. Despite its cultural treasures, from the Hermitage Museum to the Red Square, Russia's unfriendly atmosphere toward US citizens makes it a challenging destination in 2025. Number 5. Afghanistan. Following the US withdrawal from Afghanistan in 2021, the nation underwent a significant political shift, with the Taliban taking control. This has dramatically changed the landscape for foreign travelers, especially Americans. The Taliban's policies, coupled with lingering resentment toward US military actions, have made Afghanistan inhospitable for Americans. Any perceived connection to Western powers can lead to suspicion or even danger. Additionally, the ongoing humanitarian crisis and lack of basic infrastructure further complicate travel. Afghanistan, with its stunning landscapes and deep history, remains tragically out of reach for most US citizens. Number 4. Yemen. Yemen has been devastated by a protracted civil war, creating one of the world's worst humanitarian crises. For Americans, the situation is further complicated by anti-American sentiment stemming from US involvement in regional conflicts. The lack of a stable government, ongoing violence, and severe poverty make Yemen a dangerous destination for any traveler. Even aid workers face significant risks, let alone tourists. In 2025, Yemen remains a place of immense cultural heritage, but significant peril for US citizens. Number 3. Libya. Libya's descent into chaos following the fall of Muammar Gaddafi has created a lawless environment. Militant groups and factions control various regions, and the central government struggles to maintain order. For Americans, Libya is particularly hostile due to past US military actions in the country. There are few safe zones, and foreigners, especially those from the US, are often seen as targets. Until stability is restored, Libya remains one of the most unwelcoming places for Americans. Number 2. Somalia. Somalia's ongoing struggles with terrorism, piracy, and internal conflict have made it one of the most dangerous places in the world. Americans in particular are viewed with suspicion due to past US military interventions and the global war on terror. The risks in Somalia are compounded by the lack of a functioning government and basic infrastructure. While its coastline and culture are captivating, Somalia is far from a safe destination for US citizens in 2025. Number 1. Cuba. While Cuba might seem out of place on this list, it highlights how politics can shape travel dynamics. The US embargo against Cuba and ongoing tensions between the two governments have led to a complicated relationship. Though Americans can technically visit under specific conditions, Cuban authorities often view US travelers with suspicion. The lingering effects of decades of strained relations mean that Americans may not always feel welcome. Despite its vibrant culture and beautiful landscapes, Cuba remains a challenging destination for US citizens. And there you have it, the 10 countries where Americans are not welcome in 2025. While each of these nations has its unique reasons, the common thread is the intersection of politics, history, and cultural perceptions. Travel is a privilege that can bridge divides, but it also requires awareness and respect for the dynamics at play. What do you think about this list? Are you surprised by any of these countries? Let us know in the comments below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more in-depth travel insights.